buddy Rob were ready for what we were about to do. We were going to use the Luigi board and hopefully talk to a spirit. Nobody in our family ever wanted to spend time with us. They always wanted to play with their friends instead. So I went over to Rob's house and brought the board with me. When I arrived, we both started to set up the Luigi board. Rob lit up the candles and I turned out every light in the house. Then we put our hands on the glass piece, ready to use it. I started off with the questions. I asked if there was anybody there, but nothing happened and the anticipation was very high. But then, suddenly, the piece started to slowly move. Then it landed on the word, no. Then I heard Rob's laughter when I saw it. He's been playing me. I slapped him for that horrible joke. Then we started to use it for real. Then Rob was the one who started to ask the questions. He asked the same question I said earlier. Then the piece started to move, all the way to the word, yes. At first, I was upset that the board was answering to Rob and not me. But that was when reality started to kick in. We were actually speaking to a spirit. But most questions we asked were very serious. Then I asked the question, should we be worried? Then the piece started to back to the word yes. Then Rob asked the board why. Then the board started to go letter after letter until it spelled the sentence, get out of the house. Suddenly, the candle lights went out. I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. But then, I screamed at the top of my lungs. Rob then found his phone and turned on the flashlight. He then asked me why the hell I screamed. I felt that something sharp go through my left arm. Rob then shut the light on my arm, revealing a huge claw mark. Rob turned on every light in the house, but the first thing we noticed was the Luigi board wasn't on the table. That was enough for me and Rob. We left the house, then Rob helped me back to my house. I didn't want to tell my parents what happened to me, but I didn't have to. They noticed it first thing. Then lots of commotion happened, and then I was taken to the emergency room. Then after I got the wound treated, I had a huge sleeve on my arm. Then everything was going fine for me after. But the same couldn't be said for Rob. Not long after I left the hospital, Rob tells me something was wrong. His house started to feel very scary sometimes, and Rob would feel like another entity was in the house with him. And after 2 days of this, he full-on searches the house. Then Rob told me he found the Luigi board in the basement. I was superstitious during my life, and I knew that all the scary doings were coming from the board. So the first thing Rob decided was to smash the thing with a hammer and burn it. After that, nothing abnormal ever happened after. That was my first and final time using Luigi board. I was home alone when this happened. My family had plans this particular day, except for me, so I was able to relax without anyone bothering me. But that ended up not happening. I was in my room on my desktop. I had headphones on with the volume all the way up. But even with that, during some time later during the day, I heard this big thud that was somehow louder than my headphones. I take them off and looked around the room, and of course nobody was there. But I am a paranoid person, so I go back to my gaming, but without headphones this time. And just when I thought no more noises would happen, I hear another noise, but it was much more quieter. As scared as I was, I had no choice. I had to find whoever was making that noise. So I leave my room and investigate the house. After looking room after room, nothing ever turned up, but I still could hear the noises. So I go to check the last room in the house, and I see that nobody was in that room either. That was when I calmed myself down. Now I knew that there was nobody inside the house. But just when I leave the room, I noticed something. A shadow. A shadow of a man. I was shocked from what I just saw. I see the person's shadow started to move towards my room, so I run after the shadow towards my room. But when I arrived, there was literally nobody in sight. I checked the closet and under my bed, but somehow this guy managed to disappear. So I leave my room, but then something dangling hit my head. I looked up to see the attic door. The pull string was moving, indicating that someone had either touched it or opened the attic door. This meant I had to go into the attic. As much as I didn't want to, I had no other choice. I slowly opened the attic door and hear the horrible creak from it. Then I slowly climbed up into the attic. When I got up, it was very dark in there, so I turned on the flashlight from my phone. There were a lot of boxes and stuff you would see in an attic. But while I was exploring, I suddenly feel two arms grab me and hold me down. I looked to see a man's face. He was trying to pin me down. I tried to look around for a weapon to use, but there was nothing good to use, so I settled with the light bulb laying on the floor. I grabbed it, and I shattered the bulb onto the man's chest. He let go of me as he screamed from the pain. I was out of that basement too quick. I called my parents about what happened, then they called the police. But then the man pushed me out of the way and ran out of the house. And by the time someone got to the house, the man was already long gone. While investigating, the police did find the man's point of entry. Some part of the attic wall was cut and towards the roof. And after I gave a description of the guy to the police, they recommended getting camera or more security, then left. Then my parents bought a camera system after that, and my parents didn't trust me to be alone for my safety. This was the most nightmarish experience of my life. I'm a senior in high school. I was on the easy side of school after I finished junior year, and there was this place I would go to if I was stressed or happy. But this time, I wanted to go there to relax after class. I had just finished a test that killed my brain. So after the class was dismissed, I went to my relax area. It always had nature and barely people in it, but this was a little cloudy that day, so not too relaxing. I put myself down and started to listen to music, but as I was settling down, an alarm started to go off. Not the fire drill alarm, but a different kind of alarm. Then the principal told the school to go on lockdown, but the school day was already over, and I was outside of the school gate. But for my safety, I did hide away in the bushes. Then, complete silence. I looked to see the empty school with students usually everywhere. It was very creepy to look at. I've been through the school lockdowns before, but I never did outside in the open. 30 minutes passed with the silence still around me. Just the occasional drizzle from the sky. Then I started to think my next move. Should I run out in the open and risk revealing myself, or try to signal staff for help? But I was interrupted from my thinking. I heard someone scream, "Hey!" I assumed the worst and thought I was gonna die. But then, I looked to see a school staff coming towards me. At first, it didn't make sense, considering how deep I hid. But then, I just came out and went towards them. She asked me why I was out in an unsafe place, and after I explained my point of view, the woman took me to the office. As we did, everything was cut power. It had scary vibes. Then we waited in the office for the rest of the time. Then finally, the police came. When they came to the office, the staff started to come out of hiding. Then they all looked at the camera footage of the school. Then I saw the bush I was hiding in earlier, but there was something else. There was some crazy looking man that came into view. He looked at the bush I was hiding in. Then he started to approach me quietly. But then, that was when whoever that was screamed, and the guy ran off. I couldn't believe what I just saw. If that woman didn't come, who knows what could have happened to me. So the police started to check the school, but they couldn't find the man responsible for the lockdown. It was then determined that the guy must have been long gone by now. But for safety, the police had to escort the students home. It was a long and slow process, but it was for the safety of the students. After this, the school gave us a week break from the traumatizing experience. That, and also to increase the security of the school. I was, and am, still grateful for that woman though, who might have potentially saved my life.